I think the first crucible, unless somehow it gets resolved before she takes office, assuming it's her, which everybody does, is this crazy thing that Secretary Mnuchin did, canceling the fire insurance policy while there are fires in the neighborhood, even though it hasn't hit your house yet. Why anyone in their right mind would want to do that is beyond me. I'm sure it's beyond, I know it's beyond Jay Powell. He almost said so. And I'm sure it's beyond Janet Yellen. If that hasn't been straightened out before she gets in the office, that'll be job number one for her.
I read some interpretations last week that the move by Treasury might allow Congress to put forward a fiscal stimulus bill that exceeds McConnell's $500 billion target effectively because of the give back. I mean, is there any silver lining as to what Mnuchin did last week?
I don't think so. I mean, if you think that of McConnell, you know, more power to you. I don't see this as a give back whatsoever. It's quite a different thing. And by the way, just on budget technicalities, that backstop from the Treasury is scored by the CBO is costing basically zero. So in terms of the way they do the budget numbers, it doesn't give you any more room. The CBO looked at that and said, Treasury's not going to have to pay off on this, and didn't score it as an expenditure, basically.
Alan, a lot of people are saying, yeah, but Treasury, this is so much more of a political job than being a monetary policy leader and economist for a large part of her career. What kind of relationships do you have as the Fed chair on Capitol Hill? What kind of interactions is she going to have with Senate Republicans, in particular Senate Leader Mitch McConnell, if he does maintain his leadership?
They vary a lot from Fed chair to Fed chair and from Senate composition to Senate composition. I don't know in detail how much contact she had, for example, with Mitch McConnell while she was running the Fed. It wouldn't have been zero, but I don't think it was extensive. You're absolutely right, Sarah. A Treasury Secretary is a vastly more political job. The job as chairman of the Fed is to try to be as much out of politics as humanly possible. And Janet Yellen succeeded in that. Jay Powell is mostly succeeding in that, though with Donald Trump in the White House, we can't be 100% successful. Treasury Secretary is not like that whatsoever. You're in the middle of one political maelstrom after another, and that's assuming that she'll be the new Secretary of the Treasury. That's Janet Yellen's new life.
Alan, it's David. Back to the actual idea of a relief right now, a stimulus, whatever you want to call it. What's your take on the state of the U.S. economy as we sit here right now with the pandemic spreading, unfortunately, and how much really you think would be the right number in terms of aid to obviously businesses and potentially states and municipalities?
So the state of the economy right now is pretty good, but teetering. There are data lags, but if you look at some of these near-term indicators, including Google mobility and many other things, and I just heard from your broadcast about the Richmond Fed, and there are lots of little tea leaves. The tea leaves are looking a little peaked right now, and it's not a shock. The shock to me was how well the economy was hanging in there despite the upsurge in COVID. It may be giving up the ghost a little bit. We don't know for sure, or maybe a lot. So on the subject of insurance, this is a time when taking out another insurance policy would be extremely well timed, even if the CARES Act wasn't running out, which it is. So the CARES Act is almost run out and will be finished by late next month. You've got this eviction moratorium from the CDC that ends December 31st. And you got an economy that looks like it's probably weakening. So to your question about numbers, if I had my druthers, which is a ridiculous thought, I'd be thinking $2 trillion-ish. I don't. I think a reasonable compromise should be doable if there was some goodwill on both sides, between $1 trillion and $2 trillion. Now, that's $1 trillion range, I realize. That's the kind of thing that gets hashed out in the political arena. But I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think a number under $1 trillion, and Mitch McConnell's been talking about half that when he talks about it, is enough, is nearly enough. This is a $20 trillion economy.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.